Hello and welcome today. The new video of Exposente 2020 predictions, and the reason or aim to make this video is to share some questions which I have been asked about this course and what will be the outcome of Exposente 2020. So just let's go through quickly first what will be the questions I'll be answering and I'll be sharing with you guys. Is that what will be the expected CRS range during 2020? Is this score expected to increase from 469, which was the last draw, and the score was 469? And if when you do have your ITA, if your score is 450 plus, and then obviously, is there any chance for score in the range of 420 to 450? So the presentation or the video is based on some statistical analysis of the past records of express entry, which is meant to help you identify that what is your present score and where you are what's your standing right now, and in case you need to address some areas, or for example if your score is 455 and you think that maybe the scores will reduce. So this is what happened during the last year when at the time of January 2019, that the common thinking was that the scores will reach to 400 in CRS. But what we see is that a huge rise in the CRS. So just don't lose your heart, don't get panicked. Things are still there, and what you need to do is just look at these questions. And before answering these questions, let's take a quick look excuse me, of what is the present CRS situation. Before going to anywhere else, let's go and find what was the score or the draws past records. If you see, this is October 15, 2018, and then this is the last 3 months of 2018, and you see that the score ranges were 440, and then it rises, and the least score, which was 438, was on January 10th, 2019. And you see that there are 3 draws about 439, 438 and 438, and initially there was a 440, but other than that there was a rise. And you see that another important thing which you need to focus is how many days are there in between 2 draws. You need to take a very good look, and you need to keep an eye, and as many days passed, for example, if there is a 2 weeks gap, there is a strong chance that the score remains the same, or it increase a point, or it might reduce a point. There might be, I'm repeating, there might be not a great chance of having a marginal or phenomenal reduction or in the points, but still if the number of days increases, for example, if you see that there are the number of days are about 2 to 3 weeks, then there is a chance. Not here. If you see that there is 22 days gap between the 2 draws, but the score remains the same. That was December 19 and then January 10. That is 2018 and 2019. The score remains the same. But other than that, this was from October to January. So you see that the score remains the same with a couple of points reduction from October till January. Means October, November, December, January, 4 months, and there is a reduction of only 2 points. So it's a bit tricky. And now we see what is the situation during the year 2019. Again, you see that the 2 points are highlighted, the cutoff scores and the time difference between the draws in 2019. The starting CRS was 449 on January 10th, and the ending draw that took place on 19th of December, the CRS was 469. So there is an average increase of 20 points from January to December. So it means that during the year we can say that there is not there is no reduction in points, and we'll see that there's a 7 points reduction as we pass from 10th January to 23rd January, and then 30th January, as we see in the previous graph, that was 438. And if you see that this was the least CRS in the whole year, that means after that 438, with a 7 days gap between the two draws, the CRS reduced to 5 points. But after that, again, the next draw will take place after 21 days. And you see the CRS rises from 438 to 457. That is 19 points in 21 days. So yes, don't get disheartened. Just keep an eye. You need to know, you need to assess the situation, and then you need to decide where you stand. So this is the situation, and you can see that I think the people who were in express entry always took a very good look at that, and you see that there is a 28 days gap, and as you see there is 28 days gap, the score rises from 20 points. So let's hope and keep praying that the gap between the two draws was not a bit long. And this is the year situation. Now at the end of the year, let's take a look of what is the express entry system. This chart I've shared with you, which I prepared in my previous video, and as you see that this is the number of candidates in the score range, and I just calculated some percentages, so you know that what might be the area. Just keep in mind this is static. This is on 16th of December 2019, and the number of applicants was 181,706. So that's for sure is not the same now. The number should have been increased. But if we take some statistical analysis and we just assume that the thing is constant, and we assume that the number of draws will remain the same, that means 2 draws in every month and a 14 or 15 days gap between them, and the last draw was 469, then what is the chances of the people having the score of 451? Let's assume that these 440 candidates has been taken out in the first draw, and the people remaining 451 to 600 will be at the top tier, you can say. But you see the number of applicants was minimum at least 16,226. I repeat, this is minimum 16,226. Now if we take this 451 to 600 in separation, it should not be like equally distributed. The people with 490 to 600 might be, you can say, 10% of it. That means 1,600. So if we take this 10% analysis, they will surely be taken out in the next draw. And if the number is 3,200, which is the normal range, so 440 of 600 to 1200, and then 1600 of 490 to 600. So that means if we take that these are the minimum tier, or you can say the maximum, the top level, which is not much. So this is about the case. And if you just do some simple calculation, that with 3,200 per draw, it means 6,400 ITAs in a month. Now 6,400 ITAs in a month means you can multiply it by 2 or 3. So you can see that it took nearly 3 draws to get these people cleared. And we assume that there is no further application is going on, which definitely is not the case. So initially, if your score is between 451 to 600 and there is no express entry profile submitted, you might be having your ITA in February or January, but this should not be the case. practically speaking, we assume that the number of applications will file and the ITAs will remain the same. We need to go back once again here in this, and you see that the reduction in the points was actually from 3 to 4, 3 to 4 points, and let's assume that there is a reduction of 3 points to 4 points per draw. So just have some calculation, just do some calculation, and you see what is your score. So the people whose scores are between 450 to 470, guys, you need to work something other than just sitting and hoping that the score will reduce. You might you got a very good chance for applying for ONIP, that Ontario Immigration Program, and so on. Just go. There are so many other videos about PNPs. Watch them and see where you can maximize your score. For the people who lies here 441 to 450, just don't get started. There's so much for you is remaining, and there is one more graph which we need to see, is that what is there in the year 2020. Now this is important. If you see these areas, this line is the target which was set by the Canadian government, and the difference is the additional ITAs issued during the year. So there is an increase of about 9,000 ITAs during the 2017 and 2018, which was a very good year for express entry. You see approximately 15,000 ITAs were issued more than the target. But in 2019 the case was a bit different, might be because of the elections or anything. There is only 3,000 more ITAs issued. Now the target is set to be 85,800, and if we assume that, let's say that the Canadian government will issue 90,000 ITAs, then 90,000 ITAs should be by 24 draws. You can say, you can divide it and you can see how many people will be going there and what are your chances. So if your scores are 460 plus, then you might have a good chance, but my analysis suggests that the scores will increase. The rise in the score will surely be because of the provincial nomination programs and the job offers. So let's get back quickly. We are about to end this. So these are the questions and these are the answers. For the question number 1, what will be the expected CRS cutoff range during the year 2020? My guess is that it will remain from 450 to 490. It's a very wild guess. I hope that it will reduce further from 450, but I just maximize my you can say my thought, but I hope that it will reach to 450, but it seems very hard to get there. And the second question, is the score expected to increase from 469? Yes, I think considering the past trend we see, and as you see the lead time between the two consecutive draws, the score might likely to be increased. And the third question, what if your score is 450 plus? Again, if there are 2 draws per month with 2 weeks gap, then somewhere after March 2020. And now the most important thing, what is there if your score is 420 to 450? Now, there is a chance, there is a hope, but you cannot sit and just think that it might reduce. So you just see the past trends, and now what you have to do, you have to search the areas which there is a slide. Actually, just remember, this is the last slide. These opinions shared is the basis on the statistical probability analysis based on the previous trends. An increase in the number of ITA issues will cause the score to reduce further. So just remember, this is my statistical, you can say, guess or my predictions, but it will depend upon 2 factors. A, number of days between the two gaps, between the two draws, and number two, the number of ITAs issued per gap. There is always a chance to maximize your score in the pool. Search for these areas, try achieving them. You can see there are certain videos. The videos are there about if you don't have any job letter and you want to apply for a provincial nomination. There are so many provinces which you can do. Just go and search in the playlist. There was Saskatchewan, there was Nova Scotia, and Manitoba, and Prince Edward Island, and Alberta. So you will see, you will have all the information what you have to do in the videos. And the most important thing, which you might read earlier, that keep an eye on the calendar and prepare in advance. There are two dates which definitely fall. One is definitely falling in the calendar year 2020, and the other might fall in the calendar year 2020. The one which definitely falls is your date of birth. You need to see, you need to keep an eye that at what date you reduce a certain age points, and what you have to do to gain these points in some other areas. You need to search for it. There is a video titled Tips of Express Entry. Just view it, and if you need any kind of assistance, please feel free to ask. The purpose I'm making these videos are just to let you guys feel confident that you don't need any agent, that you don't need anyone else. You can do it by yourself. Just concentrate and just focus on the right things, because your time is important. If you waste your time sitting in the hope that the scores will reduce and you lost a certain opportunity, then you will be in trouble. Right now the time is in your hand, and time is money. Go and search for the areas which can improve your scores. Okay, so just wrap it up. The video is again a bit long, and I hope it will help you. And in case of any confusion, just please feel free to ask. And finally, just like and subscribe. Keep me encouraged, and thank you very much. Thanks for watching. God bless you all.